that we are trying to actually bring mostly those folks who we need.
Why aren't you betting on Canadians?
Well, the Canadian...
Point of order.
Point of order.
I would like to talk about the temporary resident pathway for Palestinians in Gaza.
So what would be your most recent internal estimate that the government has on the total number of individuals living in Canada without legal status currently?
Madam Chair,
So what I'm hearing you say, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that we are going to continue to bring in people, even while we have many, many people in our country right now that are trying to go through the H and C category, we're still going to keep on bringing people in. That's what I'm hearing you say?
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
Okay, to begin, we start with Ms. Rempel-Garner for 6 minutes. Thank you, Chair. To the Deputy Minister, what date will the immigration levels plan be tabled?
so that precise date hasn't been decided, but it is generally before November 1st of every year.
So you anticipate it before the end of October?
I wouldn't say that I have an exact date, Madam Chair, but that is what normally that happens is before November 1st.
Thank you. What was the 2025 target in last year's levels plan for temporary residents total?
So for the temporary residents total, Madam Chair, the overall target was 673,650.
How many how many permits have been issued as of the end of August of this year?
So as of August of this year, I can actually get you the information very quickly here.
I have 773,000, is that right?
Pardon me?
I have 773,000, is that right?
773,000. We have three. If I'm looking at total of the work permits issued, if that is the question.
It's all so the 673,000 that you had. What is the congruent number that has been issued to date? I have 773,000. It was data that you posted about 48 hours ago or so.
I don't have that number, ma'am. I do, Madam Chair, have like a split of that, which is a little different from what is the number.
So what I have from your website on data that you just posted is 773,000 temporary permits. So we're not even, we're about halfway through the year over, and you have already exceeded the levels plan temporary permit issued by 100,000. Is that correct?
So, may I ask Pammy to actually answer?
Yes, so I'd like to provide a clarification. The levels plan for temporary residents for 2025, the 675 number, is for admissions. So that is persons who've arrived physically in Canada, whereas the number of permits issued are people that we've given a permit to.
So I've got 773. Like, look, what I'm trying to say here is, like,
their arrival spans multiple years. Apologies for the interruption.
So have you advised the government that they have already exceeded the levels for this year?
We haven't yet exceeded the levels for this year, as the target within the levels plan for temporary residents is for arrivals within Canada, new arrivals, versus approving somebody, and then they have a period of time to arrive.
So I know that unemployment in Ontario is at about 700,000, and the data that we have is quite high. Where are these people going to work?
So, I think what we have to clarify, Madam Chair, is that the folks who are here, they already are into the system. Either they are employed or they have the work permit, which they will be, or they are students. So there's a combination of many.
There's still several 100,000 permits new permits that are being issued, correct? But across the different temporary resident streams?
We do have quite a bit of reduction, Madam Chair, in
No. We're not talking about reductions. I'm saying you're still adding several 100,000 people to the system. Is that correct?
We are adding some to it, but
Yes,
not
thank you.
a huge lot.
So why are you adding several 100,000 more people to the system when youth unemployment is at 14.7%? We have unprecedented hospital wait times. Why is that number not far lower?
So, Madam Chair, to answer that question, we are looking at a particular talent where we need those people who will fill those labor shortage gaps.
Okay,
whether
so,
it's
great,
regional.
great. So youth unemployment is at 14.1%. Are you suggesting that we need more people in jobs that could be filled by Canadian youth?
I'm not suggesting, Madam Chair, that we need more people to fill those jobs, but we have to match the needs of the regions and the national skill sets, which we need, through new skills. Either we develop the workforce strategy domestically so that we can train them, or we will bring the new people.
So we have a 14.1% unemployment rate, and there are 700...
1 minute.
Sorry?
1 minute.
Thank you. You guys are on track to exceed your targets. We have a youth jobs crisis, and yet have you advised the government to pause, let's say, or just pause right now, let's say, temporary foreign worker permits in anything outside of agriculture or fisheries? Have you advised them to do that, or like why are you still accepting LMIAs for jobs that could be filled with students? Have you advised the government to stop that?
So, Madam Chair, the aspect which I mentioned earlier was that we are trying to actually bring mostly those folks who we need.
Why aren't you betting on Canadians?
Well, the Canadian...
Point of order.
Point of order.
The witness was trying to answer and he was stopped mid-sentence. If we could get full answers, the questions have been full, certainly, but if we can let witnesses complete their answer, that would be, I think, helpful for testimony purpose.
On that point of order, before you rule, Madam Chair, I know that my colleagues in the Liberal Party don't like my questions because they speak to the fact that the Liberal government is exceeding temporary foreign work permits to the extent that Canadian students don't have jobs. And so me asking why aren't they betting on Canadians is material, and with the time that I would have left, I would like the Deputy Minister to clarify why they are still issuing temporary foreign work
Ms.
permits.
Rempel-Gardner. Hold on.
Privilege.
Okay, hold on a second. So on both sides, they're not point of orders. I will give 10 seconds or 12 seconds for Mr. Kochhar to respond, and then that's time.
Point to personal privilege. I don't know what the rules say about that.
Yes, Mr. Zuberi.
Thank you. I just heard some imputation about what Liberal members think or don't think. I personally never expressed myself. I don't know if that was...
That's debate.
And I believe I have...
That's not a point of privilege or point of order.
So may I
Well, it was an imputation on me as a Liberal member.
Okay,
Can I actually raise a point of order on that question? Madam Chair, every meeting when I ask questions, tough questions to officials on the Liberal government's failures on the immigration policy, my colleagues on the Liberal Party interrupt me. Every time.
That is not a point of order.
It is.
And you know it. We're going to give another 10 seconds.
It's on decorum. It is actually on decorum. So my Liberal colleagues continually interrupt me.
Ms. Rempel-Gardner, not a point of order. Mr. Kochhar, 10 seconds just to finish up your answer, please, and then we go to Ms. Zaid.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And what I was mentioning was that, yes, we actually focus our attention, first of all, on those who are domestic workforce so that we can retool them so that they can fill in those job markets.
But you're still bringing in hundreds of thousands of temporary workers,
Ms.
right?
Rempel-Gardner, please do not overspeak. It's very hard for the translators. You have 5 more seconds, Mr. Kochhar.
What we are planning as such is, again, bringing in those skill sets which are not available in Canada.
Thank you so much.
I would like to talk about the temporary resident pathway for Palestinians in Gaza with Canadian family ties. This program, when it was launched with promise and hope, but very few people have gotten out to Canada under this program. And some people who were able to reach Egypt have been stalled there, have not been able to get out of Egypt. With a ceasefire in place, what is your department doing to facilitate the safe passage to Canada for qualified, extended families of Canadians seeking temporary refuge?
question, Madam Chair. So one of the key things onto this one is that we had created a program which was to allow almost 5,000 individuals who could come and apply through the special program into Canada. Unfortunate part of that was that we had to go through the levels of scrutiny and security with COGAT, which is the controlling agency, the one which is a part of Israel Defense, and they would actually vet those names and accordingly release them through Rafah border. There were only two borders which were open, Kerem Shalom and Rafah, and since then Rafah has been closed for many months. So the people have not been able to come out of that Rafah border. However, those who have made their way out of other places, for example, consular cases and others, we have been processing them in Egypt, Cairo, getting their biometrics done and bringing them here. So we have some data in which we have brought in, almost 700 people into Canada, but they are a part of combination of the consular as well as those who made their way outside on their own. The last point I'd make, Madam Chair, is that Kerem Shalom border was never actually meant for passage of individuals. It was more like a supply place. And we have been able to evacuate some of them. I wouldn't call evacuate. We have been able to facilitate the passage of some of them with the help of Israel and Jordan, Amman, so that we can have some who have high medical needs or emergencies or the people who need immediate attention, for example, vulnerable children and families. So that has been accomplished. But we are, since the ceasefire, we're still waiting for them to actually give us a clear signal so that we can actually move forward with our plan as we did for the 5,000 people.
Are you on track to reduce the government's stated target of temporary residents to 5% by the end of this calendar year?
Madam Chair, yes, that is how we are planning for the next couple of years in our immigration.
Are you on track to meet it this year, by the end of this calendar year?
So the target of 5% was supposed to be met by end of 2027. That's what we are on track for.
Okay. Have you, or has the government asked you to complete any analysis on the costs to Canada's healthcare system that the excessive number of immigrants overall have caused?
While, Madam Chair, we have not actually gone into those levels of details, but we have consulted with our healthcare partners, the provinces, the stakeholders, all those who would be involved in both healthcare provision as well as the housing and employment. So we have done extensive stakeholder consultations for that.
Did you ever advise Minister Diab or any previous minister that the large number of immigrants coming to Canada were creating challenges in our healthcare system?
Madam Chair, we continuously advise our minister about the impacts of the immigration, which do bring a lot of benefit, and we have been constantly giving her the information.
Okay. Have you completed any analysis, or has the government asked you to complete analysis on the impacts of the on the housing market, the excessive number of immigrants that the Liberal government has allowed into Canada on an annual basis?
We have worked, Madam Chair, with our colleagues in the housing and infrastructure, and we have actually done a little bit of projection, which allows us to see how, if we bring down the levels up to 5% before 2027, what will it do to ease some of the pressure on the housing. So we've worked with CMHC and the housing and infrastructure.
So did you advise Minister Diab or any previous minister the impact on the housing market, that these large number of immigrants coming on an annual basis would come in your discussions and deliberations with the minister?
So, Madam Chair, we are actually advising the minister about what would our permanent and the temporary levels will actually result in terms of the impact on the housing, as I said, health and everything.
Just a point of clarification. Earlier, you said that you were on track to reduce the government stated target on temporary residents 5% by 2027. The 2025 to 2027 levels plan actually says 5% by end of year 2026. Are you saying it's 2027 now?
To our knowledge, that has always been a 2027 as the commitment from this government, and that's how we are targeting that.
That's not what the 2025 to 2027 levels plan said from the information that is available to us. So what would be your most recent internal estimate that the government has on the total number of individuals living in Canada without legal status currently?
Madam Chair, we do count and through Stats Canada the census, but we would not have any estimation of any of those who do not have a particular status in Canada. We would not have that information with us.
We have no record of the people that have come in that have no legal status but are walking the streets in our country. Is that correct?
That's, Madam Chair, that is not the information that we collect as such.
1 minute.
So, do you have a handle on how many people are estimated to be in Canada through the temporary foreign worker program that are actually not working and are still in our country illegally?
We have information about how many of the people have been issued the temporary foreign worker permit, and that is based on what we have actually done in terms of the previous years through LMIA, which is an ESDC kind of thing, and we are responsible for issuing the permit, Madam Chair, and we're not tracking whether they are actually into particular jobs. It is a combined responsibility with ESDC in the enforcement world.
What is the progress in terms of the implementation of M62, which called for 10,000 vulnerable Uyghurs to be resettled in Canada from third countries? What's the progress, and what are the future? What's the future expectations about the implementation of this motion and will of Parliament?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, just wanted to start by saying that we're concerned about the serious human rights violations in Xinjiang affecting Uyghurs and Turkish Muslims. We have actually we haven't announced the implementation details about this population in general public, and the reason is due to safety and security risk to the applicants, also our program delivery partners, our referral partners, and also to the Canadian staff. So what we can share with you is that as of September 13th this year, over 140 people have arrived here in Canada, and the department has received application for more than 740 more applicants, which are still being processed. So as I say that, our first priority is the safety of Uyghurs and who may live in fear of being returned to return back against their will. So this is why we do not provide a lot of details concerning the work underway to provide protection to these individuals, as this could put it under further risk. But the numbers are something which we are constantly watching, and we are actually working our way to bring them here. And as I said, 740 in progress.
The minister's briefing binder showed a wait time for some humanitarian and compassionate categories of up to 50 years, and I think the website today says greater than 10 years. So this includes Hong Kongers, Ukrainians, Sudanese, and all the other people that we invited to our country. Now the government is effectively saying that they will never be processed. So, Deputy Minister, do you think it's reasonable for a newcomer to Canada to wait 50 years for their claim to be processed?
Madam Chair, so I'll start, and if you need more precision, I'll turn to my ADM colleague here. We have started to mention on our website a forward-looking processing time, which means that if you apply today, what would be the time taken to actually get that visa over time?
I understand that. So do you think it's reasonable to have somebody wait 50 years for that to be processed?
Madam Chair, I'd comment on one thing, that it is dependent on the number of spots available, which is the immigration level decision. It is not based on.
I'll take that as a yes then, that you do think it's reasonable to wait for 50 years for claims to be processed.
Madam Chair, point of order.
Point of order. We'll stop the
The
time.
Deputy Minister did not say that. Our colleague's an experienced colleague, but he's putting words into the mouth of the
Debate.
You can say no.
Not a point of
then allow
order,
it.
not a point of order. Mr. Redekop, your time begins again.
Thank you, and I didn't hear a no. So I'm taking that as a yes. Now, Deputy Minister, have you advised the government to stop accepting United Nations selected government-sponsored refugees and instead use those levels to keep the promises that you made to persecuted persons from Hong Kong, Ukraine, Sudan that are already in Canada?
Can I turn to you, Ishamar?
Sure. I think, thank you for the question. I think, as was discussed earlier in the context of the broader immigration levels planning, we have to find the balance between all the various pathways and commitments that we've made, including for Hong Kong, Sudan, but also for the United Nations refugees that we do accept.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing you say, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that we are going to continue to bring in people, even while we have many, many people in our country right now that are trying to go through the H and C category. We're still going to keep on bringing people in. That's what I'm hearing you say?
Madam Chair, that is not how we actually proceed. What we do is we do not have any cap, or we don't have an intake control over asylum. This is one category where people are actually coming in, and that
Madam Chair,
cannot stop.
Sorry to interrupt, but these were specific programs. These aren't general asylum claims. These were the Hong Kong programs. These are the Ukraine programs. These were specific programs with known numbers.
And Madam Chair, that is what we are trying to do, that those numbers which were created so far, example, Ukraine was a temporary program, and if you are turning to be into a permanent residence, you have to apply through the levels of economic, and it'll take you that many years because there's a limited space in the levels plan.
Thank you. Would it be possible to table with the committee in the H and C category, by each stream in there, how many files have been processed by quarter for the last 2 years, 2024 and 2025? That would be very helpful to us. Is that something you can provide?
1 minute.
Can I be very precise? You're looking for last 2 years' data for
Yes.
the 24-25?
The last 2 years. Calendar 24.
We will provide
25.
that, Madam Chair. We will provide that.
Your own rules say that if someone gives immigration advice, they must be a licensed representative. That's correct, right?
That's correct.
So why do you allow colleges or designated learning institutes to use unlicensed agents overseas to steer people into our system?
Madam Chair, our ability to actually do that overseas is we don't have any authority over the overseas. We only have the authority in Canada, which actually binds that only the registered consultant give the advice. What happens outside of Canada is not something which we can.
Do we not have control over the designated learning institutes in Canada? Can we not tell them how to do things?
We absolutely do, Madam Chair. We actually give them very clear guidance as to what does it mean if there is a fraud detected, what happens as a consequence, and what does it mean. But again, as I mentioned, we don't have a control outside of Canada.
Mr. Kochhar, thank you, Mr. Redekop. We now have 5 minutes to Mr. Peter Fredescatos.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to officials for being here. Deputy Minister, I'm going to allow you to elaborate as much as you wish, in fact, on that answer regarding processing times and levels. The way that levels, as set in the levels plan, determine wait times. I think that's an important connection to make, and I want you to be on the record on that question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, as is the every year the case, that we set up a permanent resident levels plan, which actually divides it into economic category, the family reunification, the H&C category, and we do dedicate a number to that, which is actually presented in the Parliament, and that is how we execute that. So last year, it was the number was 485, and we did get 483,000. This year, the number is 395, and that's what we will do. In that category, we also have a sub classification of how many of those would be under the humanitarian and compassionate category, how many would be protected person. So based on that, that is the level space which is allocated to those particular vulnerable groups which have been, which are in Canada. So Hong Kong, Sudan, Gaza, Hong Kong, Sudan, and any other who actually wants to get into those programs will be allocated that space. So it is a limited space. However, there are people who are in line. And if there is an opportunity for us to actually move them quickly, if there is an increase in the levels, that's how we will be able to manage that. Barring that, it is a first in, first out, and that is how we are determining that how many people are actually coming to a permanent residency in a fixed capacity model.
Mr. Deputy Minister, you mentioned earlier you modernize the systems and processes to be efficient, yet many of the Hong Kong pathway applicants that we have inquired with IRCC have confirmed that they have received all the necessary approvals, and yet months pass, they still are waiting for the issuance of the PR. Can you tell us what the holdup is, what's wrong with this process, and what are you going to personally do about fixing this problem? Thank you.
Madam Chair, as we were just mentioning, it is not about the lack of any documents. It is about the level space, and we have a limited level space through which we will have to adjust those who have applied through Hong Kong. And just to facilitate that they are not being turned back, we are making sure that their work permit is valid, and we are extending them so that they can stay here and continue with their life until their turn arrives for the permanent residency.
However, many people are waiting for their expired work permits to be renewed, and this is impacting their employment status as well as their children's ability to attend school. So can you please look into this?
Madam Chair, absolutely. We are prioritizing the work permit extensions, and anyways, our rule is that there is an implied status. If you have applied for an extension and you already hold a work permit, that's an implied status, so we can look into that one.
In the last point is the retained status. It is not clear, like most universities and employers don't understand what it means. They're looking for a approved work permit. And so if you could clarify that or rapidly issue the work permit, that will resolve a lot of misunderstanding.
10 seconds.
Yes, and we are committed to actually reducing our processing time, which should come down into the standard service time. And we are publishing on our website, Madam Chair, that implied status means that they have applied, and we are still to adjudicate their work.
Thank you, Mr.